Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Divine, and in today's video I'm going to be making this princess dart pencil dress. This is just going to be the pattern drafting of this dress, so if this is something you would like to see, please keep on watching. The sewing of the actual dress is going to come up on my next video, so please make sure to like, subscribe, share and enjoy the video. So now here I have the pattern that I'm going to be using to make this video. So I already drew my shoulder line, and I'm going to start taking my measurements from the starting line, which is the shoulder line. So from there I am going to mark 11.5 inches, and that is for my shoulder to my bust point line. And from the top again I'm going to mark down 17 inches, which is from my shoulder to my waistline. And then on my waistline here, I'm going to come down by 9 inches, and that is going to be my hip line. So from waist 9 inches down, and that is going to serve as my hip line. Now from the shoulder I am going to go all down, and I'm going to mark 38 inches. And that is going to be for the length of this dress. Yes, 38 inches is short, and that is because of the gathers I added at the bottom of the dress. So I'm going to mark 38 inches, which is going to serve as the length of this dress. Go ahead to mark your desired length if you're making a full dress without adding any gathers at the bottom. Then I'm going to add ½ inch, and this is going to be for joining, for when I want to join the gathers at the bottom of the dress. Now on the shoulder line I'm going to divide my shoulder measurements. My shoulder measurement is 16 inches divided by 2, that is going to be 8 inches, but then I'm going to add extra ½ inch to it for joining the sleeve. So I'm going to mark 8.5 inches here. On that 8.5 inch line I'm going to come down by 1 inch, and I'm going to draw my shoulder slope on there. Now for the neck width I'm going to make it 4 inches. You can make it yours 3, but I made mine 4 inches, and I'm going to just connect that 4 inches to that 1 inch I came down from the 8.5 inch. So now I have my shoulder slope here. Now from this line here I'm going to go down to mark 9 inches, and this is going to serve as my chest line. So I'll just draw a straight line, and this is going to serve as my chest line. So here I'll just mark that 8.5 inch so I can draw a straight line from that slope all the way down to my chest line. So that is what I am marking here. I'm just marking 8.5 inches, and I'm going to draw a straight line on here. So I'm just going to label it. This first line here is my chest line, the second line here is my bust point line, the third line here is my waistline. I'm going to write W there. This line here is my waistline, my hip line rather, and this is the length of this dress. Now I'll just divide what I have here, which is 9 inches by 2, and that is going to give me 4.5 inches. So I'll mark 4.5 inches there. So on that 4.5 inch line I will just go in by ½ inch. Remember, this I'm drawing the pattern for the front piece here. I'm going to draw the back later. So on my chest line here I'm going to divide my round bust measurement by 4, and I'm going to mark it on there. Then I'll take my curved rule, and I'm going to connect from here to here to here. So here is my armhole. I have my front armhole here already. Now I'm going to draw the dart for this dress. So my nipple to nipple measurement is 8 inches, divided by 2 is going to be 4 inches, but I'm going to add half inch for sewing allowance. That is 4.5 inches. So I'm just taking 4.5 inches from my bust point all the way down to the length of the brown paper. So I'll just mark 4.5 inches all the way down, then I'll draw a straight line to connect them all together. That now on my bust point line, I came down by 1 inch, and then I'm going to mark half inch on both sides of my waistline, and I'm going to connect these 3 lines together like so. So this is the 1 inch that I came down from the bust point and connected into the half inches I have on both sides of my waistline. Now on my hip line, I'm going to come up by 2 inches, and I'm going to mark it here, 2 inches here. Then I'm also going to connect it to the half inch on both sides of my waistline. And here this is what I'm having right now. So I'm going to measure this armhole line to know what I am going to have, and whatever I have there, I'm going to divide it by 2. So after taking the measurements, what I had was 10.5 inches. So I'm just going to fold my tape like this to divide it into 2. So I'm going to place it back, and I'm going to mark it on there after dividing it by 2. So I just marked half inches on both sides of the 10.5 inches divided by 2. I marked half inches on both sides as well. So I'm just going to use my curve ruler, and I'm going to connect from my bust point to the first line I marked, that is the 10.5 inches divided by 2. So now I have this curve, and now I'm going to also connect the half inches I have on both sides. I'm going to connect them back to the bust point as well. So after doing that, if I place my tape here, I'll find out that I have 1 inch here. So I'm going to replace that 1 inch so we are not short of fabric. So on the last line there, I'm going to place my tape, and I'm going to mark 1 inch there, and then I'll just connect it to make the line longer. So here I'll just take what I have on here, and I'm going to replace it on my armhole line, and then I'm going to be drawing a new armhole like this. So I drew this first line, and I found out that it looks kind of straight, so I went ahead to curve it in better with still using my curve rule. So you can see the second line and the first line. So I'll just get rid of this line here. I'm making use of the second one. Now coming to for my neck depth, I'm going to make use of 2 inches. So I'll just mark 2 inches for my neck line depth, and then I'll just connect it to the 4 inch that I marked earlier for my neck width, and this is going to be my round neck area. So I'm just trying to draw the neckline better, and this is my neckline. So now I'm just going to take my measurements. So on this chest line, I'm going to take my round, on my bust points rather, I'm going to take my round bust measurement divided by 4, and I marked that there. On my waistline, I'm going to mark my round waist measurements divided by 4 as well. and I'm also going to mark that as well. Then I'm going to replace this 1 inch. If I place my tape, I'm going to have 1 inch. Remember, I took half inches on both sides of the waistline, so it's a total of 1 inch. So I'm going to replace it on that waistline, so which I have just done. On my hip line here, I'm going to divide my round hip measurements by 4. I'm also going to mark that here as well. And then on the length of this dress, I'm going to take what I have on this, what I have here, I'm going to subtract 1 inch from it, and that is what I'm going to be marking on the length of this dress, so that it's a little bit, pencil, because this is a pencil skirt. After doing that, I'll go ahead, use my ruler, and I'm going to connect all the lines together. So I'm just connecting from my waistline to my hip line, and from my hip line to the length of the dress. So this is what I have here. I'm just making sure there is no like sharp edge there. So on my chest line here, what I have on my chest line, I'm just making sure of my measurements here. So I just took the same thing I have on my chest line, I just marked the same thing on my bust points, and I just connected everything together. So after doing this, please make sure to go around and cross check everything. So this is what the pattern is looking like right now. Now I'm going to go ahead and add 2 inches, and this is going to be for my sewing allowance. You can add, the least you should add is 2 inches. You can add 2.5 or 3 inches, so that you can have enough fabric to join the dart area, and also to shape the dress. You can go ahead and re-measure everything to make sure that there are no mistakes on your pattern before cutting on your actual fabric. So then I'll go ahead and add ½ inch on my shoulder line. This is for joining the front and the back shoulders together, so I just added ½ inch on there. Now this is what this pattern is looking like. So I'm just go ahead and cut this out. Please watch carefully so you see how I am going to be cutting this pattern out. So this is one piece, and I'm going to cut the other one. So this is what the front piece, the front pattern is looking like. You can see how it's looking like right now. So I'm going to be joining this place together, and I'll just write front here so I don't get confused. So now it's time to draw the back pattern. At the top here, I already have my shoulder line, and here I have 1.5 inches for my zip allowance. So from the shoulder line, I'm just going to draw my lines. First of all, I'm going to come down by 10 inches, and I'm going to draw a line there for my chest line. After that, from the shoulder line as well, I'm going to come down and mark 17 inches for my waistline. Note how I'm not marking for my bust point, because this is the back area and the bust point is not needed. So from the waistline, I also went down and I marked 9 inch for my hip line, and then I also marked down my the length of this dress. which is 38 inches, and then I added extra half inch there for joining, so I'll just connect the lines. So the first line is the length, the hip, the waist, and the chest line. So I'm going to be taking my measurements from this 1.5 inch line that I have here. This is where I'm going to be taking my measurements from. So on there I place my tape, and I'm going to take my 4-inch line, which is my neck width, and then my shoulder measurement divided by 2 plus half inch, which is 8.5 inches. And as usual, I'm going to come down by 1 inch from the 8.5 inches, and I'm going to connect it to the 4-inch lines, just so I can have my shoulder slope on there. After doing that, I'll also come down here, mark my 8.5 inches, and then draw a straight line. So here I also divided that 9 inch by 2, and I have 4.5 inches. I just marked that there. And here I'm going to divide my round bust measurement by 4, sorry, and I'm just going to connect these 2 points together like this. And this is basically how to draw the armhole of the back piece, of the back pattern. So now I'm just going to go ahead and mark my dart. So for my waistline, I'm also going to take 4.5 inches all the way to the length, and I'll also mark that same 4.5 inch on my chest line, but then I'll come down by 1 inch from the chest line and mark 1 inch there. Then I'm going to connect it all the way down to the length of the dress, of the pattern. So after doing that, on my waistline, I'll also mark half inch on both sides, and from my hip line I'll also come up by 2 inches. So I'm going to connect the lines together like this. I'm connecting the half inches on both sides of my waistline to the 2 inches I came up from the hip line, and now I'm also going to connect it to the 1 inch I marked from my chest line. So this is what the back dart is going to look like. So after doing that, I'll also use my tape, and I'm going to measure what I have on my armhole like this. And what I have there, I'm going to divide it into 2, and I'm going to mark it there. So I just marked it there. So now I'm going to use my curve ruler, and I'm going to connect from that 1 inch I came down from my chest line to the place I marked on my armhole line. So this is what it's looking like right now, and I'll just go ahead and extend this line by half inch so that I'm not short of fabric when I'm joining the main fabrics together. So I just extended it by half inch and just extended the line. So now I'm just going to mark a new armhole on here. So I'll just place my tape and mark a new armhole. Now after I'm done doing that, for the for the neck depth, I'm going to marked 1.5 inches for the neck depth of the back piece. I marked 1.5 inch on there, and now I'm also going to take my measurement. So on my chest line, I'm going to take, okay, I have already taken it on my chest line, so I'll just come down to my waistline, and I'm going to take my round waist measurement divided by 4, and what I have there, I'm going to measure it, and I am also going to take the 1 inch that I'm going to cut out for that, although I didn't do it here because I forgot, but I'm going to do it later. So you have to replace that 1 inch. Then on my hip line, I'm also going to take my round hip measurement divided by 4. I marked it on there. And then for the length, I'm also going to subtract 1 inch from what I have on my hip line, and I'm also going to mark it on there. So after doing that, I'll just take my ruler and I'm going to connect all these lines together. So I'm connecting it to the waistline, and then I'm connecting from the waistline to the chest line. So after doing that, I am now going to add my 2 inches for sewing allowance. Remember I said the least you should add is 2 inches. You can make yours 2.5 or 3 inches. So now I just remembered that I didn't add this 1 inch here, so I'm going to replace that 1 inch. So I'm just going to replace that 1 inch for my dart here, and then from there I'm also going to add the 2 inches for sewing allowance. So I'm also going to add 2 inches on my hip line and also on the length of this dress, and I'll just go ahead and connect all the lines together. So after doing that, I want to work on my zip line too. So to avoid zip bulge, I'm just writing zip allowance here. So I'm going to get rid of any zip bulge that will come out. So from here I'm going to go in by 1/2 inch on my waistline. On the waistline I'll go in by 1/2 inch, and then from that 1/2 inch I'm going to connect it up like this to the chest line. I'm going to connect it like this to the chest line and down to the hip line like this as well. You can see how I am placing my ruler. So I'll just connect it down to the hip line like this. So after doing that, this is what the zip allowance is going to look like. So also remember to go through your pattern, remeasure everything just to make sure there are no mistakes or error. So at on the shoulder line I'm also going to add 1/2 inch and connect it for joining the shoulders together. So this is everything that I have here now. So I'll go ahead and cut this out, and after cutting it, and please watch carefully to also see how I am cutting this out, and that is how you're going to cut on your pattern. And after that I'll basically go ahead and place it on my fabric and cut it out. I'm going to have that video in my next video, so if you want to see how I made that beautiful dress I showed you from the beginning of this video, please make sure to subscribe and turn on your post notifications so you can get notified when I upload that video. And after that, this is basically it for the back piece, for the back pattern of this princess dart pencil dress. So I'll just write back here, and I'm going to connect these two together. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in my next video.